with the 4th of July holiday right around the corner, and it's very, very hot out there. Starting to temperatures are starting to rise all across the country. I will say this: there's a lot of videos of tornadoes popping up all over the country. Saw one in Atlanta, South Dakota, Colorado. Just want to see one. That's all I'm asking for. Not too much. That's a bucket list for me. Not one that does any damage. Not looking to tear any structures down, but a wide open field. I just want to see one. That's all I'm asking for. Meanwhile, they just dangle the videos in front of me, and everybody's trying to figure out how to escape the heat and the storms and all that. There is one way you can do it. You can get in an ice cold bath. That's what you can do.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson did it. He was talking with Kevin Hart on Cold as Balls.
Nice.
With Kevin Hart. And he was asked about, where do you think you need to get better at?
What was the most difficult adjustment for you in the NFL?
Just being a leader.
Okay.
I'm gonna say being a leader because I'm really not outspoken, like being vocal with my guys, like, oh, let's do this and that, or got a great motivational speech. I don't have that. I just pretty much lead by example. I go out there, I'm gonna work hard. I expect that out of you. But as I've been growing in the league, it's like, nah, you got to talk to the guys. Coaches and stuff like to tell me, talk to the guys. I'm like, all right. I talk to them one-on-one, but certain things I'm seeing, I got to voice it more. Voice my opinion more to those guys.
All right. So that was Lamar Jackson talking about trying to become more of a vocal leader, even though he's not really, with Kevin Hart on the Cold as Balls show. I don't know if that's a podcast or whatnot, but whatever.
It's a podcast.
So is this overrated, overstated, the whole need to be a leader standpoint when it comes to a quarterback? Because I don't think, anybody wants somebody who's a mute or somebody who's a complete a-hole, but to me it feels like I'll take somebody who's talented over somebody who talks.
Yeah, that one's it's an interesting question. It's an age-old debate. In my estimation, if your talent is superior to others and people realize it and you have the ability to change games and do things, you automatically kind of play yourself into being a leader. And as Lamar mentioned, he likes to lead more by example than by saying things. It's tough when you're a quarterback because it's a role that is deemed the leadership role, whether you like it or not. It's like that's the position where you can't be a quiet person, and that's just kind of how the job description has been defined. So while it's like, yeah, let a guy be who they are naturally, I think they have to, at the position of quarterback, you have to learn how to communicate well enough to be enough of a vocal leader, for the team, for your unit. Now, you don't want that to come across as fake or phony. You definitely want to be organic and be, authentic in the person that you are. But when the game is on the line, sometimes it takes hearing from your quarterback to say, let's effing go. When you're about to start the game, you see how Tom Brady used to run out and scream at the fans and then start headbutting his linemen and stuff like that. Tom Brady isn't a rah-rah guy off of the field. He's not one of those loud, boisterous dudes off of the field. He gets in the character. He got into character as a player. So I just think it's a hard debate. For most positions, you can say that person doesn't have to be very vocal, doesn't have to be a loud leader, doesn't have to be a rah-rah guy, and bring it up and deliver a Maximus Decimus Meridius speech to the guys before they go out there. But I would say, Jonas, a quarterback that doesn't bring a strong leadership quality to the table is almost like having a head coach that doesn't bring to the table a strong leadership quality. I mean, you know what I mean? That's what I would say. The importance of that voice is almost just as important as the voice of your head coach.
But wouldn't you say also that a guy like Lamar Jackson, he may not have the voice, but he's got the skill set and the talent that it can override whatever deficiencies he has in that voice, to where a coach, all he has is his voice and his leadership. Like there's nothing else you can show to try and get guys going, to where Lamar Jackson could just be like, I don't know, pick a game, put that one on if you want to know how to do this right.
Yeah, but leading by example, like he's only got, one or two backups at most.
Yeah.
So that leading by example, watch what I do and see what I do and stuff like that. Sure, that could be helpful to guys that are backing him up as a teammate or as a backup to him. But when you're talking about the rest of the unit, they can see how good he is. They can see the things on film that say he's giving a maximum effort. But again, I think it still comes back to, and the reason why I think that the quarterback's position is comparable to the head coach's position is because it's a position of guidance. You know, it's a position you have to communicate. You're the one that, in a lot of cases, you're calling the play. I mean, the way they get plays is a little different these days. Some people get it from the sideline, and you don't really have to get it from the quarterback. But the quarterback has to communicate every single play, and he has to communicate to everybody on that unit in some shape or form, and he touches the ball every single time. His level of importance and his level of competency has to be so much higher than everyone else's. I mean, standard wise, and because they have the most responsibilities of anybody on the field. So while I say, I played with Jeff George. And I always use him when these types of conversations come up. I always use Jeff George as an example. Jeff George did not speak. He was not a talker. He was not going to give you a speech before the game that was going to just blow your pants off and you'd be like, yeah, let's go get these mother lovers, da, da, da. And that wasn't Jeff George.
Was he? I've always heard that. Was he arrogant, or was that just the outside perception?
The perception of him was he was arrogant, and he couldn't have been one of the most coolest dudes that you'd ever meet. He's just, I don't even want to call him like socially awkward, but maybe that's what he's just quiet.
Because Jay Cutler got the Jeff George comparison all the time.
Yeah, but Jeff George didn't make faces like Jay Cutler. Like Jay Cutler did some things in like public where you could see it in his facial expressions and the nonchalantness. Like Jeff George had that look, like a nonchalant look, but Jay Cutler's look totally, and the way he talked, it totally fit the billing that they put on him. Fear or not, it totally fit.
Did you hear
Jeff George was just cool. He just didn't talk much, man.
Cannon,
he just wasn't one to talk.
Could spin
and
it.
Had a cannon. Sling that thing, bro. You'd be like, wow, like look at the arm talent. There aren't very many you could sit there and say had the same arm talent or comparable arm talent to Jeff George.
There was
that dude throw that ball, bro. That thing came off his hand like so easily, but it was out of there.
I've heard Urlacher talk about it when the Bears traded for Cutler. The first time they saw him in practice, they're like, Jesus. It just looked different than, much like Jeff George, just looked different than everybody else, the way they could throw the ball.
I just don't think you got to be an over-the-top communicator. Like, yes, you got to be a leader because that's what the job description calls for. And just like with a coach has to, whether they're a good communicator or not, they have to have those types of abilities. It's a part of your job. Basically, a part of your job description is to be a leader.